Hey, folks, good morning and welcome to another episode of Steelers Morning Rush. I'm Alan Saunders. It is Tuesday, April 15th. It's tax day. If I'm just informing you of this now, you're probably in some trouble. Today we've got a question that it was just every once in a while we get a comment or a question, and as Smitty and I are discussing, I'm like, no. That's a Morning Rush question. I need that one. This one comes from Alan Berkable, who is a regular commenter here on the YouTube platform. Alan, in the past, I had asked you to explain exactly what cover 2, cover 3, etc. meant. You explained it very well. Now I would like you to explain the terms 3 technique, 2 technique, etc. I've been hearing this a lot when discussing D linemen. Thank you. Yeah, I think we've talked about this before, but let's get the old whiteboard out for now, and then we're going to do something new here. So, look, this is just football making terminology needlessly complicated. In large strokes, 0 is in the middle, 5 is out here, 7, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's just the higher the number, the farther away from the center you are. Very specifically, though, there are like a bunch of different things that are keys for the positions. And I love the whiteboard, and I love what we've done with the whiteboard, but we're going to try something new here. So this is a picture of the Steelers' base defense from a game against the Baltimore Ravens in the playoffs. And this should show us a couple of good examples of some different techniques. So we start with 0. The 0 technique is a true nose. You are lined up head up over the center. And right now, you can see Keanu Benton is doing that. He is slightly shaded to the center's right tackle, but for our purposes, let's call that a 0 technique straight up over the center. That's a true nose tackle. A lot of times, you'll see this person lining up at a 4-point stance, meaning both hands are on the ground, instead of a 3-point stance. Very traditional nose tackle technique. Usually someone who is lined up head up over offensive lineman is doing what is called 2 gapping, meaning Benton is responsible for the gap on either side of that player. When the ball is snapped, he's got to hit that center, hold him up, and look and see which direction the play is going, and then decide whether he wants to shed to the left or shed to the right. Traditionally, the Steelers 3-4 defense has a 0 technique and 2-5 techniques. So over here, to Benton's left, to the offense's right, we have, who is that? Is that Larry Ogunjobi? We have Larry Ogunjobi in a 3-point stance lined up over right tackle Roger Rosengarten, and he is in a traditional 5 technique. So the way this is counted out is stupid. That's the only way I can say it. And so a 0 technique is lined up head up on the center. A 1 technique would be lined up on the outside of the center. Okay. A 2 technique would be lined up head up on the guard. A 2-eye technique would be on the inside shoulder of the guard, and a 3 technique would be on the outside shoulder of the guard. 4 head up on the tackle, 4-eye inside shoulder, 5 outside shoulder. So here you have Larry Ogunjobi lined up over Roger Rosengarten's right shoulder. The Steelers' helmet stripe actually is a great visual indicator for the way these work all the time. Look at Larry's helmet stripe. It is pointed directly at Rosengarten's outside shoulder. So that is a classic 5 technique defensive scheme. Steelers defense used to play 5-0-5. Larry is also 2 gapping in 5 technique. He's responsible for the gap in between the guard and the tackle, and the gap in between the tackle and the tight end, or in this case, that's Patrick Ricard, but whatever. He's lined up as a tight end. Now let's look to the other side of the formation. Cam Hayward is in a 4-eye technique, okay? 4-eye, he's on the inside shoulder of the left tackle, Ronnie Stanley. His helmet stripe pointed directly at Stanley's inside shoulder. I think Cam's in a 4-point stance here too. But he is only single gapping. Cam is only responsible for the gap between Stanley and the left guard. Benton has both inside gaps. Ogunjobi has both right side gaps. Cam's just got this one. Okay. So the inside technique keeps him in that gap. What's the difference between a 4-eye and a 3 technique? A 3 technique would be lined up more into the gap, more on the outside shoulder of the guard. In this instance, basically nothing. I mean, it's you're talking about a foot of alignment. Sure, there's like some nuance to like what makes this better or that worse, but like when I say like a traditional 4-3 defense plays with 3 technique defensive tackles. When Cam Hayward's in a 4-eye, which is a lot of the time in the Steelers base, he's doing mostly the same job as a single gap 3 tech would be. So, you know, there's there's the, it's not that different. Outside of Cam, you see Alex Highsmith in a 6 technique. 6 technique is head up on the tight end. So he is head up on the tight end. He is responsible. He is also 2 gapping. He is the edge defender, and he is responsible for the gap between the tight end and the tackle. Head up usually means 2 gapping. Okay. Usually, not always. And then on the other side, we have TJ Watt in what's called a wide 9 technique. So 6 technique is head up on the tight end. 7 technique would be outside shoulder of the tight end. Look at TJ Watt. He's a whole person outside of the outside shoulder of the tight end. So there's like an imaginary defender over there, or imaginary blocker over there. 8 technique would be head up on this imaginary blocker. 8-eye would be the inside shoulder of the imaginary blocker. 9 technique, the outside shoulder of this imaginary blocker. TJ is actually a little tighter than that. He can get wider. You might call that more of an 8 tech. But generally what TJ Watt is doing is called a wide 9 or a 9 technique. And he is, of course, single gapping. His only responsibility in run defense is that outside contain on that side, the edge. You set the edge. So that's the jobs of a defender. As you can see in this defense, like, and when I talk about playing nose tackle, what the Steelers are asking Keanu Benton to do is exactly what the Steelers are asking Larry Ogunjobi to do. There's really no difference. The only difference is Keanu Benton doesn't know which way the double team's coming from, if it's coming. He has to be aware of both sides. The advantage Keanu Benton has is his primary guy has to snap the ball, so his hands aren't up. So when you're talking about like a true nose tackle in a 3-4 defense, is the idea is that someone is going to get double teamed there and be able to stand and hold that gap. Now, listen, Benton has struggled with double teams, but the 3-4 defense, the traditional 3-4 defense, is 2 gapping across the board. This is a little different because you have 2 tight ends. If you're 2 gapping across the board, you can get double teamed anywhere. It doesn't really matter. It's just as easy for this 77 right guard to double team Ogunjobi as it is for him to double team Benton. You can double team both of them if you want. You can run duo. So that's why the idea of this nose tackle being this big need for the Steelers, I don't buy it. Certainly, there are bigger players who are better able to deal with double teams than Kenny Benton. It's just of limited utility, and you want the better players. And where you play them doesn't really matter that much. They all have to do all of the jobs at the end of the day. If you can't do all the jobs, you're not that useful. And so that's it. When the Steelers play nickel, they'll have 2-3 techs and 2, 9 or 6 or 9 or 8 or 9 or 7 or something like that. And that A gap is vulnerable against nickel. That's why you have to have the linebackers shoved up in there. Usually they'll run an under and over front. We can get into those someday too, but we're already at 10 minutes here. So hopefully that answered your question. Again, 0 tech, head up on the center. Higher numbers mean farther away. I means inside shoulder. Even number means head up on the player. Odd number means outside shoulder. That's what those mean in broad strokes. And I showed you a specific example here for the Steelers defense. That's all I got time for today. I hope that answered your question, Alan. I know this is something we talk about a lot, so I'm very happy to explain it. That's all I got for today. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications here on the YouTube channel. And please leave us comments and questions. We love taking them, especially this time of year. Till next time, enjoy.